Peace and love, family. Welcome to my channel. Those of you that have been here before, welcome back. Minister Dionne here. We are deep diving in today. So I welcome all of you royals. I'm sitting in I'm sitting in my prayer closet. I almost couldn't get those words out. And this is my sacred space, and we're going to have a sacred conversation today. And you'll be seeing me looking from time to time at my notebook, moving my phone around, because we're going to be in here for a little bit, all right? So I want you to buckle up and enjoy this virtual cruise line that we're on today with Deep Sea Royalty. The destination and topic of today is, who is God and what is God? And as you know, just deep rooted, and I never thought that I would have this conversation publicly, but here it is. So I've been sitting with this, and yes, that deep breath coming in. Thank you. Let me do it again. Join me in that energy. So let's get to it. What is God? Who is God? God is energy. God is light. God is love. God is the divine source within you. God is compassion. God is love. God is love. God is love. God is love. God is the air we breathe. God is the unspeakable joy we have within. God is wholesome. God is whatever you make up in your mind. Okay? God is the energy in us that created us. God is energy. God is a source of light, a source of wisdom. And and you'll see in some videos where I've used God lightly, because I can finally get here and explain it to a degree, because we're only going to a degree here. We cannot unpack all of this deep knowledge, all right? But we're going to begin this journey together, all right? So the government has taken and created God to be an entity to them, because they know that anything connected to our beliefs, our values, it is a place of vulnerability. So they are looking to play on your vulnerability through the connection with the source. It's pretty evil. And this is where religion comes in, a man-made structure of rituals for you to align yourself and be under rules and laws and regulations. That is a source outside of you. So religion's tool is the Bible. The Bible is a tool. The Bible is a record-keeping book. It is a way of man's interpretation. It is a lot put into that. A lot of deep hidden knowledge and magic that a lot of us don't know what to do with it. And then there are some that get it and use discernment for how to use that tool to work for them. That's another conversation for another day. We'll have a whole title and segment on what is the Bible and go into that. But this is about what is God. Who is God? And God is energy. All right. God is a light. God is a love. God is compassion, the source of your existence, of my existence. And we may have this place in us that is so connected to our heart space for that energy to exist. And because the government knows this, they have, going back to that, created an entity and you can look this up. Government Ordinance Department, the acronyms for God, Government Ordinance Department. So they created a God entity in order to establish their trust. So hence the phrase "in God we trust" had nothing to do with the divine energy in source, okay? Nothing to do with that. In God we trust is a corporation, an entity, a trust created. So those of you that heard of like LLCs, it is an entity being formed. Okay, so a trust is also an entity that can be formed. You give it a name, and there you begin setting your intentions, and then you're forming this by breathing your life force into this, by putting energy into it. And your life force is creating this soul way of its existing. We're not going to get into corporate soul and all that stuff here, but just to give you this knowledge. And so they created this corporation. In God we trust, the trust, to have its own way of governing you and how you operate. A trust is a way for you to divinely connect with what's in you and establish how you're going to show up and do business in it. And so with this corporation that is formed, you have, and what they have created is this fictional world under this trust, so that they can control the masses, because the evil people know how to play on your emotions. And the best way to do it is to hit you in those energy chakras, or the energy field that will be used to manipulate you. So that's all of the government side of what God stands for in the corporate world. And none of the government concerns itself with divinity or the essence of the God energy that we know. It's all business, okay? So separating that and going back to this, God is love, God is energy, God is the light source within you. Going back to that love. And also, you may have heard, and I know in other cultures, practices, religion, we also hear of Allah. Allah meaning all law. And at the end of the day, whichever we choose to say, it is about your state of consciousness within you, that energy source you connect to within you. And that is what you're constantly connecting to. So if you know that God is energy, God is in you, you're that divinity, well, what does that make you? You are that same source in that same form of energy, the physical manifestation of that, of what exists in you. So you'll see, going back to like Genesis, the scriptures taken from King James, whichever translation you want. But Genesis 2:7-9, for example, is talk about the breath of life. And when God breathed this air into us, many of us are suffocating and in survival mode and not taking a deep breath. And what does that do over time? You think of a corpse that no longer has the breath or energy or life within them. So there's no more life when someone is dead. There's no more air to breathe. God is the air that we breathe. All right. God is that energy source within. And you can look at all types of translations of this. It always started with that breath that we are taking, that energy that we're connecting to, that you cannot see it, but you know that it's there. You can feel it. It's like you have your phone and you know that there are frequencies and vibrations. There's a tower that exists. The 5G towers, we're not going to get into that though. Okay. We know that there's a tower out there allowing us to have signal, right? You're connecting with a signal and your phone is reaching and getting those feedback and transmissions from that frequency and allowing you to have service, allowing you to connect. So if you're not connecting, you're not getting that frequency. You're not getting the lights on. You're not powered on. You're not getting that energy source, and you may feel out of breath. You may feel like you're dying because you're not breathing in that energy source. You're not connecting with that frequency and vibration. All right. Your job here on earth, and the Bible talks about this many, many times. Psalms 82:6 says, "Ye are gods." Wouldn't you think if we come from that divine source of energy and we're created from that we would be creators? We are creators. We come from a creator. It's almost like a baby coming from its mom. It's going to have its genetic makeup. It's going to have the DNA mutated to be like what it came from. So if we came from this divine higher source, why wouldn't we be that, in forms of that? So we can really go into the physical form, the physical manifestation. We are that physical manifestation of God. We could choose to be love and light, or we could choose to be darkness. We can choose to bring heaven or hell in our mind, in our energy. What will you be? So your job here on earth, for those of you that's like, I don't know my purpose, my plan. God knows the plans to prosper you, not to harm you, the plans to give you a hope and a future. You are God's. You come from God. You come from that energy source. We are the light beings. And so your job is to bring heaven on earth. How are you doing that? In what way are you doing that on a daily basis? Now that you know who and what you are what you come from. You are that source. That's how powerful you are. And those that created the entity, knew that if they created something outside of you, you will never look in you to find what you need. Everything you need is within you. I encourage you to in-source. I encourage you to take more time for yourself. I encourage you to find a space where you could seclude yourself from the world and go within. This is my prayer closet I'm sitting in right now. And I have multiple places in my house where I reflect and go within. And I encourage you to do the same so that you can deep dive with the parts of yourself that have been stagnant. God flows. God is flowing. God is like water, the air we breathe. And we're going to get into water codes in another video. But for this one, I wanted you to know what and who God is, and know that you are here as a God to bring heaven or hell on earth. And it is a choice. It is a decision. If you are a God, would you choose to keep waking up every day angry? Or would you take the free will to find and create your happiness and be a creator? Most of us weren't taught that. Most of us were not taught how to show up, how to be creators. We've been taught to and trained and programmed to follow someone else's order and pattern, but you are your greatest follower. You are your greatest source because you are a God. And you are energy, and you are that light source, and you are love and compassion, and you are worthy, and you are valuable. And don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. I want you to do this research for yourself, because many of you may have been through church and taught that Jesus, or the divine God source within, is something we have to wait for. Listen, they told you that lie so that you can go through life feeling lost, confused, struggling, dealing with challenges. They don't want you to find your joy. And they're not teaching you to sit with yourself and spend that time. Yeah, we heard spend time in prayer. But listen, though you just sitting in prayer, not doing nothing, if you don't believe that you have the power to change you now. You could sit here and keep wishing on a hoping star in the sky, whatever that is, okay? But you are not going to get anywhere and move forward until you realize that you are a God, and you are the connector, and you are that source, and you are the divine within. You are it. And when you begin seeing that and living that and believing that, you activate the power in you. The churches have given up their freedom of speech, and you can look that up. It's either the Johnson Act, 1954. You can look that up, all right? Because they're connected to the government, okay? Many of us saw when the pandemic came around, 2020, these churches were closing up quicker than some of these stores, okay? And I'm like, whoa, all right? That was an opportunity for us to see who's in control, okay? Who's in control for real. And if you don't start getting in control of yourself, there'll always be someone to control you. Do you think God has someone controlling him? Think about that. Sit with that. You have the power to bring heaven on earth every single day into your reality. And I look forward for you to tap in with me for the next video, Heaven is Your Mind. And also to just hear from the children, what is God? They are the closest thing to God. That's why there's that scripture that is talking about like returning to be childlike. Those are the ones that can enter the kingdom of heaven. And I had to go to this place of returning within me to that childlike essence, to see the beauty, to see the good, to see and know that I am taken care of. Children don't ever worry about how they're going to get it. They demand it. Y'all know some of y'all got little children out here and they just like, give me that. They don't ask. They're demanding it. They are they are bringing it into the reality, whatever it is that they want, and they don't wait. They come out like true royalty. They take control. Y'all know who have babies. They've come out taking control from the jump. And what are we doing as the guardians? We tired. Them newborns controlling us. Like, so when I tell you they come out, they know who they are. And we have forgotten who we are in this process of life.
The universe doesn't speak English. It speaks frequency. And this is the most honest language in the world. Think about it. If you say something in a language, you may doubt it inside of you. Or you could even lie to yourself. Frequency doesn't lie. If your thoughts, mind, and desires are not aligned, you may not reach that frequency.
So God is an energy that He's used to create something. So you know souls, right? Souls have the God energy in them.
Okay.
So let's say you took away the God energy from anything. It would just become nothing. Field. It's a field.
That's fascinating.
You can't ask it stuff. You can pray to it.
You can?
Yeah, you can. You can.
So
if someone doesn't believe in God, then I guess you don't believe in yourself, because basically every single living thing, and not even living thing, every single atom, every single piece of energy is made from the God source.
Wow.
So 13.8 billion years ago, the entire universe was reduced to a singularity, a particle smaller than a quark. However, if gravity is always working, i.e. if you jumped off this building, you're not going to fall 15 seconds later, you're going to fall immediately. So if gravity is always working, then and if the singularity was always there, like some atheists try to say, then the universe should have no age. It should be infinitely old. But it's not. It has an age. It's 13.8 billion years old. And something can't come from nothing, because it would have to exist in order to cause itself to exist, which is illogical. So therefore, something other must have created the singularity. And that something other we observe as God.
What is God?
Okay, so a lot of people think God is, quite in the biblical sense, a guy sitting up on a cloud who controls the universe, frankly, and has created all life. But my definition of God is not like that. I don't believe God is a person or entity. God is just another form of energy. Well, actually is energy. Himself, well, not even himself, itself. For the fact that you look at the Bible and other really, awesome but extremely vague and unreliable sources in religion that, hold these sources that we find and facts that we find, or so-called facts that we find, and really a lot of people think it's just about faith. But if you relate the Bible to quantum physics and apply most of the laws actually in less of a figurative sense, but more of a literal sense, and replace it with things like the universe, you'll eventually find out that it explains in-depth quantum physics and astrophysics, experiments and theories. Well, maybe not theories, because maybe now they're proven. Who knows? Maybe the Bible isn't a story of something that happened on Earth, but maybe a story of how our universe began. For the fact that, honestly, I don't really buy into the literal biblical sense, like, God is literally a guy who looks like us, who sits up in an alternate realm that's in our clouds and, watches over all of us. But I guess you could say that he's an energy form that created all, and is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. God, or energy, lives within us, through us, and is us, frankly.
So you said what? That God is the energy that is in us, created us, and is us. Is that your definition?
Yep.
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Sort of, yeah. God is energy. That's my thing. And I mean, like, you look at dimensional theory, and eventually we have, a singularity at the beginning of the universe that is energy. And then, eventually that begins to slow down in vibration due to entropy or some other law of that sort. And then, first you get photonic light, and then that slows down, and then we get matter, and then that slows down. And then who else knows what comes next? We have gravity, and then we have time, all coming in at one sense. And I mean, does that sound like origin story to you? It kind of does a little bit to me.
If you want to do something, you just need to believe it, and you can't just say, I believe I can do this, I believe I can do that, because it doesn't work. You really need to think it in your heart. And I mean by in your heart, right in your heart, in the middle of your heart.
We're going to have another video that talks about coming into this earth realm and being compromised at birth.
Very curious. What is God? What is God? Is God...
So God is an energy that is used to create something. So souls, right? Souls have the God energy in them.
Okay.
So let's say you took away the God energy from anything. It would just become nothing. Field. It's a field.
That's fascinating.
You can't ask it stuff. You can pray to it.
You can?
Yeah, you can. You can.
So
So if someone doesn't believe in God, then I guess you don't believe in yourself, because basically every single living thing, and not even living thing, every single atom, every single piece of energy is made from the God source.
Wow, this is fascinating. So what is the God source?
Even
What is
space and time itself is created from that.
That's amazing. What does the God source look like? Does it look like a person? What does it look like?
It just looks like what's in front of it. It just looks like what they're looking at. Like, you can't really see it. It just kind of, it looks like what it is.
Because a lot of people say that it looks like a bright light.
Normally it looks like a bright light, but if a human were to look at it, it would just be invisible, because it's what you're looking at. You can't just have it plain with in dark space. It doesn't work like that.
So when you pass away, what can it look like in light
I'd
space?
say a bright orb. A bright orb.
I just want you to really just sit with this, and if this has been a soul awakening message for some of you, keep sitting with it. I love to hear from you in the comments, and I trust that this allows you to start taking control now that you know who and what you are. And trust me, it goes much, much deeper from here with the science that goes behind our makeup, our genetic makeup, and being in matter. But that's another video for another day. I want you to know I love you. I see you. You are not alone. And I send you so much love. I send you so much love and joy and peace. All right, y'all. Peace, love, and light. Be sure to share this video. Just share this video. Look at me. I couldn't even get my words out. Share this video out. All right. Peace.